Welcome back over to the Joe Osborne Show. I'm your host, Joe Osborne, for today's mock draft video here. So let's obviously get into it here with the second mock draft. We're doing a NFL draft combine mock draft of all the new news we have heard. So let's get into it first here with Chicago Bears. With their first selection, obviously, it is the obvious pick here in Caleb Williams, quarterback, USC. Obviously, it's pretty much now seems to be the fact that they are going to take Williams and trade Fields, it looks like. So they're going to, in this mock draft, we're going to have them keep their pick and take Caleb Williams here, who they hope will be their quarterback of the future. However, I don't think it's going to work out for them, but hey, we'll see what happens. Moving on to the second overall pick here, we have the Washington Commanders. In their selection, they will take Jaden Daniels, the quarterback out of LSU. I think out of the three quarterbacks, he's the best one in the draft. I think the Commandos get not a spectacular quarterback, but a serviceable quarterback with a selection here who can hopefully lead them at least to some playoff success in the future. Moving on to the Patriots here now. Obviously, this one, I think, once again, is going to be another quarterback in the form of Drake May from North Carolina. New England's been looking for their franchise quarterback since Tom Brady left. Obviously, Mac Jones has not panned out, and they are hoping Drake May will be the solution into that spot. And with a new coaching staff under Gerard Mayo, they are obviously expecting some new things, and I think a new quarterback is one area in which they are looking to definitely improve in at this point here. Now moving on to Arizona here, obviously three quarterbacks getting selected in the top three. They get a nice advantage here, and they get to get the best player, in my opinion, in this draft, in Marvin Harrison Jr., a spectacular wide receiver from Ohio State. I think, honestly, this guy is the best one in the draft by far. I just think he is definitely one of the most talented wide receivers we've seen coming out of the draft in a long time, honestly. I think he's going to get picked at 4 here, but I think he should really be the first overall pick, talent-wise. So, obviously, the quarterbacks and obviously the hype around Williams is not going to happen. But I think Harrison is the best player on the draft, and Arizona gets a steal, as now their offense will be Kyler Murray, Marvin Harrison Jr., and Marquise Brown for years to come. And moving on to their Chargers, they will be looking to make a good move here too. I think last draft we had them take offensive line, but this one I'm going to say they take Brock Bowers, the tight end in Georgia, as they get Justin Herbert another weapon here to help solidify that offense, which will most likely see cuts in the form I would expect Mike Williams to be cut this offseason due to that big contract. But I see them taking Brock Bowers here this selection. And the next pick here, the New York Giants. They can go a lot of places here. Wide receiver is an area they definitely have needs at, but offensive tackle as well could be seen as a spot that they take. However, I do feel like they will go wide receiver here, and they will draft Malik Nabel as the wide receiver out of LSU with that pick. Looking for more explosive play from their offense. They have not seen it. Obviously, the quarterback's a big question mark. But I think their wide receiving core has been very subpar the last couple of years. They're looking to change that. Malik Nabel is this guy who can come in and definitely fix that for you to this point. We move on to the seventh overall pick here. We got the Tennessee Titans. This one I think is a little more clear. I think they're going to go offensive line here. And I'm going to say Joe Alt, the offensive tackle out of Notre Dame. Will they be their selection now as they try to rebuilt that offensive line that has been decimated the last couple of years. They started last year with Skaronski, and if they definitely feel as if Will Levis is their face of the future. So once again, build off of that and build up on your line, and Joe Alt is the one they take with this selection here. Now the Atlanta Falcons here of this selection, they are going to keep this. I don't think this is getting traded away. I do think they're going to be trading the second round pick here at 43, so that will be off the books here, and I'll explain why that is in a little bit once we get there. But the Atlanta Falcons here with this pick, I think what they are going to do here is address the edge once again. I think Gerard Vales, the edge rusher out of Florida State, will be that selection. I think he's the best edge rusher in this draft, and I think he has the best potential to be a great player up until this point here. Moving on to the ninth overall selection here. A lot of places Chicago could go again. However, where I think they are going to go is they're going to go on the offensive line and try to get some more protection for Caleb Williams here. And they're going to get Fascianu, the offensive tackle out of Penn State, with that selection help solidify a very young offensive line now and get them the help they need. Now moving on here to the Jets, a lot of places they can go. I think offensive line is a big one of theirs, and definitely they need that bad. I think that's what they're gonna do. And offensive tackle, they're kind of picked over by this point here. However, I feel like that's where they go, and I think with this selection here, they're going to go with J.C. Latham, the offensive tackle, out of Alabama with that selection, as obviously they don't want another repeat of what happened to Rodgers last year to happen again with this spot here. Now, we go to Minnesota, and this one is going to be the interesting one here, because they clearly want a young quarterback, and I think that's what they get here in this one, and I think where they go here is they're going to go J.J. McCarthy, the quarterback out of Michigan. I don't think he's the best quarterback. I'm not a big fan of his, so I think Minnesota will be looking at that, and considering what is left here, I know last time I had, of course, I had Michael Penix Jr. there ahead of him. With McCarthy, I think looking more on it now, I feel like McCarthy is a little better than Penix, so I'm going to have J.J. McCarthy be the selection at 11 for the Minnesota Vikings there to this point. Moving on to Denver here. A lot of places they can go. Quarterback is another one, obviously. They could be doing another one here. However, I don't think they will be taking quarterback at this spot. I think they move over here more and take an edge rusher here in Dallas Turner. If it lets me pick him here. The edge rusher out of Alabama. Obviously, their edge rushers have been decimated through trades. With, of course, Bradley Chubb and Von Miller both being traded in the last couple of years. They're willing to get some more youth at that edge position. And they do this here with Dallas Turner, who looks like he's really shot up draft boards, and he could definitely be a potential great player at the defensive line, especially on the edge, and Denver is looking for that, and they get that here. Moving on to the Vegas Raiders, a lot of places they can go, but I think here they're going to go on the defensive side here, and they are going to go cornerback, and this one's going to be a surprise here. But I am taking Kenyon Mitchell, the cornerback out of Toledo, with that selection. He is going to be shooting up draft boards here, and honestly, it's starting to look like he may be the best cornerback in this draft. Teams are starting to take notice. And I think Vegas here, I think he's a good fit in Vegas, and I think that's going to be their selection here at 13. Moving on to 14 here with the Saints. A lot of places they can go. I think here what they're going to do is I'm going to say they're looking for a little more from their pass rushing here, obviously. A lot of Cam Jordan is getting up there in age. They need someone new in that spot. I have them selecting here Laiatu Latu, the edge rusher out of UCLA, with this selection, as obviously New Orleans is looking to beef up their defense that has been starting to get aging up here. They're trying to get some more youth in there, and they get that with this selection here. Moving on to 15, the Indianapolis Colts. A lot of places they can go. I think they're going to continue to build off Anthony Richardson, who looked actually quite good, I'll admit. I thought he was if developed correctly, could be really good, and it seemed like Shane Steichen was really doing a good job with Richardson before he got hurt, and I think there actually is definitely something to build off by this point, and I think they're going to continue to build that offense, and they will take Rome Odunze, the wide receiver out of Washington, that selection, to get a little more bang out of that offense, in which, obviously, it had definitely some great moments, but also, clearly, they need a number one wide receiver. Michael Pittman is a decent number one, but he's not like a special one. I think Rome Odunze, a lot of great things out of him, great speed, has a great ability catching the ball, and I think it's perfect selection for Indianapolis at the spot here. Moving on to Seattle, obviously, I think O-line's a place they can look at. I think D-line is a better one to look at. And I am taking Byron Murphy, the defensive lineman, out of Texas, that selection. They need more youth on the D-line. They get to hear of that selection as well. And obviously, their new head coach, being a defensive-minded guru, I feel like defense is really going to go, and that's what they do with this selection here. Move on to Jacksonville. Obviously, a lot of places they can go. I think, obviously, the biggest weakness they have right now is on the defense, specifically in the secondary. I think that's something they need to address. And I think they do that with that selection here as they take Tillian Arnold, the cornerback out of Alabama, with that selection here. To this point here, obviously, they've kind of considered a not great secondary. They fixed that here with this selection. And moving on to Cincinnati here. A lot of places they can go. And I think, obviously, a lot of people think O-line, wide receiver. I think here what they do is, honestly, a lot of places you can go. And definitely I could see, I think obviously offensive tackle actually could be something here. And I am taking Talise Fuyaga. I think that's how it says last name. the offensive tackle out of Oregon State with this selection here. They want to obviously continue to protect Joe Burrow. Once again, got hurt again this year, looking for more. Orlando Brown was okay, and definitely was a good fit. However, the other offensive tackle spot needs some work, and they get that here with this selection. Moving on to the Los Angeles Rams, a lot of places they can go, and I think they go cornerback here, and I think they're going to take Nate Wiggins, the cornerback out of Clemson, that selection, and once again try to build up that secondary to this point here and see what all they can do at this selection here. Now moving on to the Pittsburgh Steelers here, a lot of places they can go. Cornerback's the big one, but the other one is offensive tackle and interior line. They let go of their center recently, so a lot of places they can go here. However, I think we're going to have a little surprise here. Possibly, I think we may actually see a trade. I can see the Steelers trading down at this spot here. So let's get Pittsburgh up here. And I think they're going to trade down a little bit. I think they'll still keep their first round pick. However, I think they're going to trade down here. And I'm going to say Dallas trades up in this spot. And I'll get 1 for 1. We'll just do a 7th round pick. Okay. Let's just see what this is doing. Okay. Gotta make sure it's right here. Alright, as long as I don't give it the 2nd round pick. Okay, there we go. So they're only doing a 2-round mock draft, but it's time to make a whole trade thing, so we'll just do a random thing. I don't think that's what the trade will look like, but it's my idea here, and obviously Dallas here. A lot of places they go. I think what they do here is cornerback, and they take Cooper DeJean with their selection here at this spot. Now, obviously, moving here now to the pick 21 here for Miami. A lot of places they can go. And what I think they do is they're going to do a little bit of surprise here, and I think they are going to go wide receiver. Nah, I'm kidding. They're not going to wide receiver. I think obviously they go as offensive tackle, and I think Emmaus Mims is the selection at that spot here. Moving on to Philadelphia, a lot of places they can go. With obviously AJ Brown being a little bit up in the air of what exactly is going to happen. I think they go wide receiver here and take Brian Thomas Jr. at the wide receiver LSU with that selection, in the hopes that obviously they can get things fixed up there. And obviously, if AJ Brown is not going to be part of the Eagles next year, they get another wide receiver who has a lot of great upside to this spot here. Moving on to Houston, a lot of places they can go. However, I think they're going to go on the defensive side and get another edge rusher to help out Will Anderson Jr. and Demarion Robinson, or as he's known as Chop Robinson, the edge rusher out of Penn State with their selection to help solidify a pass rush up to this point here that they are definitely obviously want to get some work on to this point. Now moving to the Pittsburgh Steelers here, they've traded down and they're going to stay here at 24, and they're going to take Jackson Powers Johnson, the center out of Oregon, with this selection here. Obviously, they cut Mason Cole, the starting center. They want to get another center in there who actually can be someone they can hope on for years to come. I think they do with this selection here, and that's who they take. Moving on to Green Bay, they're going to take Kool-Aid McKinstry, the cornerback out of Alabama, with that selection, obviously. With Jair Alexander's future up in the air, and our secondary, honestly, needs a lot more youth to get injected into it. I think Kool-Aid McKinstry is someone they can put in there and hopefully help out with their secondary up to this point, because it has been definitely a little shaky at this point here. But moving on to Tampa Bay, a lot of places they can go. I think people are thinking wide receiver, cornerback, 2 places they can go. However, I feel like they're going to go offensive line. It's aged really well, and they've had a lot of injuries, and obviously as well, trades, retirements. So it's been pretty much decimated. They need some more youth in there. And I think they take Troy Fatianu, the offensive tackle out of Washington, with their selection to get some more youth into that offensive line. Moving on to Arizona here, a lot of places they can go. I think they're going to go on defense this time, and I think they're going to go with the D-line and take Jairjon Newton, the defensive lineman out of Illinois, with their selection here. As obviously they're trying to get more of a pass rush and build up that defense as well. I think they're going to build on both sides of the ball, and with this selection, they take Jairjon Newton with the pick. Moving on to Buffalo, a lot of places they can go, but I think they go wide receiver here, and they take Keon Coleman with their selection, the wide receiver out of Florida State. Looked great this year, a lot of great things there. Obviously looking for more, and I think that's what they get here with this selection. Moving on to the Detroit Lions. Spectacular season from this year, looking to build off, get some more help on the defense, especially in the secondary. They're going to take Aeneas Waxstraw Jr., the cornerback out of Missouri, with that selection. Try to get some more youth and some better cornerbacks into their system here in this point. Moving on to Baltimore, a lot of places they can go. Obviously, definitely, I think wide receiver is an area they can still look at, and I think that is what they look at here. And they'll take Troy Franklin, the wide receiver out of Oregon, with their selection here to this point. Moving on to San Francisco. Honestly, there's some definitely interesting things they can do. I think offensive line is definitely an area they can talk about, and I think that is something they address here. And they'll take Tyler Guyton, the offensive tackle out of Oklahoma, with that selection as they try to hopefully that what gets them over the edge. Obviously, Lost Star has been told they may not be back next year. And I think definitely offensive tackle could be a big help to them. And Tyler Guyton looks to be a very good one. I think that's what they do with their selection here. Moving on now to the defending champ Kansas City Chiefs. Once again, kind of like the 49ers, offensive lines near they need work, especially the tackles. And they will take Jordan Morgan, the offensive tackle out of Arizona, with the selection as obviously if Orlando Brown leaving last year. Even though they still won the Super Bowl, the offensive line had a lot of struggles with penalties. Jordan Morgan will hopefully fix that glitch as they try to move on to next year, as they try to go back to back to back. We'll see if that happens. I doubt it, but we will see. Moving on to Carolina, a lot of places they can go. However, what they really need, I think, especially with Bryce Young being the young quarterback he is, and the amount of times he got hit last year was insane. I think they need to work on that airline. I think Graham Barton, the interior offensive lineman from Duke, is the perfect selection there to this point here. Moving into New England, a lot of places they can go. Obviously, they just got their quarterback of the future. And I think what they do next year is they need wide receivers, and I think they take Adonai Mitchell, the wide receiver of Texas, with the selection here to help get some better, obviously, development up until this point to what they need. Now, moving on to Arizona once again. A lot of things they can do. I think they go defense again, and I think they take Braylon Trice, the edge rusher out of Austin. I really like this guy. I think there's a lot of great things to look at. With him, obviously, he does fall right now into most mock drafts in the second round. I think he's a first-round talent, but definitely a very interesting first round. I think he does fall to the second round, and Arizona gets a great edge rusher in this position here. Moving in here to Washington. Once again, they have their quarterback. They can go a lot of places. And obviously, looking at what's out here, I think what they actually do here is, I know people are thinking defense. I'm going to say they go offensive line here, and they're going to take Kingsley Suamataia, the offensive tackle out of BYU. They just cut Chad Leno today, obviously. So there's going to be a hole at the offensive tackle position. And with a young quarterback, you want to get the line as good as you can be for him. And I think that's what they do with this selection here. Moving on to the Chargers, this area, I think they can go a lot more places. And I think of this one, they are going to go wide receiver here. And I think Ladd McConkey, the wide receiver out of Georgia, has had some great flashes of some potential. And I think that's what they do with here in this selection. Get Justin Herbert, once again, some more weapons, try to get an offense even more explosive. And obviously, we expect Mike Williams to most likely get cut. So this is your Mike Williams replacement here, along with Quentin Johnson from last year as well. Moving on to Tennessee here. This one, I think they're going to go defense and edge rusher Darius Robinson. This makes a lot of sense here. I really think this is a spot where, obviously, you need to get some better areas, obviously. Edge rushing, it's kind of aging there. That defense has not aged well, and they have a lot of holes, and an edge rusher is definitely one of them. And I think Robinson will fill those holes for them to the spot. Moving on to the New York Giants. And this where things get interesting. They're going to take quarterback and Bo Nix out of Oregon. The Daniel Jones saga gets more interesting as now I expect the New York Giants to draft a quarterback and see what happens. And I think Bo Nix is the selection there. Obviously, I think this is going to be very similar to the whole Will Levis situation. I think Bo Nix is a guy who will be potentially late first round, but falls to the second round. And someone there picks him up, and I think the Giants will do that to the spot. Now moving on to Washington, their other first-round pick. Once again, a lot of places they can go. And now this time, I think they are going to go defense here, and they take Chris Braswell, the edge rusher out of Alabama. to get some more talent into the edge rush position after they traded both the edge rushers this year on Chase Young and Sweat. Obviously, they need to get some youth and some new players in there, and they do that here with Boswell in the second round. Moving on to Green Bay here, a lot of places they can go, but I think once again, they're going to go to the secondary, and they'll take Tyler Nubin, the safety out of Minnesota, with this selection here to once again battle their secondary here. Moving on to the Minnesota Vikings here. Once again, a lot of places they can go, and I think here this is a great draft for cornerbacks, and I think that's what they do here. And they'll take Kamari Lassiter with this selection here, as they obviously try to rebuild the secondary, which also is an area that is definitely needing improvement up until this point here. Moving on here now to Atlanta, a lot of places they can go, and I think what they do here is they're going to go wide receiver, and I think Xavier Worthy, the wide receiver of Texas, is going to be their selection here as they are trying to get weapons, obviously for their team and get, more people in there. So moving on here to Las Vegas. Their selection here, they're going to go a quarterback here, and they will go Michael Penix Jr. with their selection. Obviously, they're looking for a quarterback, and they get him here in this spot right here. Moving on to New Orleans. Once again, I think they go defense. I think T'Vondre Sweat is just a no-brainer at that position. He may shoot up draft boards. I'm not shooting him up just yet, but I could see him getting shot up, and I think right here, there's a spot. New Orleans, they need some more defensive linemen, get some more youth in the position. They do that here at this spot. Moving on to Indianapolis. Once again, got to get weapons for Anthony Richardson, and they take Jatavion Sanders, the tight end out of Texas, the selection. Tight end's been an area that's been kind of an open hole. It's just kind of been revolving. Indianapolis for a while now. They get a selection here and hopefully get their tight end in the future in Sanders. Moving on to the Giants once again. A lot of places where they can go, and I think they're going to go offensive line here again and take Zach Frazier, the center out of West Virginia, with their selection here as they try to protect, obviously, whoever their quarterback will be this year, in between who I just recently said will be drafted in Bo Nix and Daniel Jones. So obviously a lot of interesting things to go on there. Moving on to Jacksonville, I think now they're going to go offensive line. I think Patrick Paul, the offensive tackle out of Houston, will be that selection as obviously they want to better protect Trevor Lawrence, who this year they did not do the best job with, and it clearly showed after he got hurt. And his play after the injury was not well at all. They were not happy with it, and it's an area where they want to see improvement. Moving on to Cincinnati, a lot of places they can go, and I think they're going to go wide receiver here, and I think they're going to take Xavier Legette, the wide receiver out of South Carolina. Obviously, most likely they will be losing Tyler Boyd. They're going to need to get some there, and that's what they do with this selection here. Moving on to Philadelphia, a lot of places they can go, and I think safety is really going to have Common Kinchens. And I wanted to say Kitchens, but it's Kinchens. Obviously, they are looking for more from that position. They get it here, as obviously they just got Bio today, and the safety position was very up and down this year. They're looking for improvements. They get it here in this spot. Moving on here to Pittsburgh, they're going to address a need on the defensive side of the ball here, and they're going to draft Edgerrin Cooper, the linebacker out of Texas A&M. Their linebacking core needed a lot of help this year, and they now finally get here in this spot. Moving on to Los Angeles Rams, a lot of places they can go. I think ideally what's good for them is I think more offensive line. However, really, if you look here, there's not much here. And I think obviously defensively they can look at more stuff, and I think here they take Chris Jenkins, the defensive lineman out of Michigan, with the selection. They need more from their defense. They get it here in this point. Now moving on here up to Philadelphia. Once again, a lot of places they can go. And a linebacker is another one. I think Payne Wilson, the linebacker out of North Carolina, will be the selection there as they look for more from that spot. Moving on to Cleveland here now. Their first pick. A lot of places they can go. And they have been looking for a lot, obviously, offensively. And I think they're going to take Jalen Polk, the wide receiver out of Washington, with this selection here. Moving on to Miami here. Obviously, a lot of places they can go. I think once again they go offensive line, and Cooper Bebe, the interior offensive lineman out of Kansas State, will be the selection here. And out of this 56 here, this is actually technically not Dallas's here. In real life it is, but in this mock draft, technically when Pittsburgh traded down, they should have acquired the second round pick. So we'll just do this, and that's it. Hopefully, let's see here. Yeah, that's the whole thing. I'm gonna have to go for this trade lots for a second. Just stand by. I don't know why it does this, but it does. It's just not a good system. Okay, can we just that works. Okay, is it gonna trade for me or no? Hold on. System wants to be a little fun. Alright, so let's just. Alright, so this doesn't want to cooperate, but this pick is actually Pittsburgh's, not Dallas's. So let's just get that in brain here. This is Pittsburgh, not Dallas. Because they get this when they trade down with Dallas. And with this selection here, they will take Roman Wilson, the wide receiver out of Michigan, with this selection. Obviously, want to get another weapon for the Steelers offense. Deontay Johnson, I think this is finally the last year of him. I think they're looking for more explosiveness. They've looked heavily at Roman Wilson. I think that's who they select here of this pick to get a good number 2 behind George Pickens. Moving on to Tampa Bay here, they do actually have this pick, and they will take cornerback here. TJ Tampa goes to Tampa Bay. Obviously, they need help in the secondary, and I think that's a good selection for them here at this point. Moving on to Green Bay. Once again, I think they go on more the defensive side. D-line needs a lot of work, and I think what they do here is they're going to take Michael Hall Jr., defensive lineman out of Ohio State, for that selection, and they get some more youth into that, obviously, aging defensive tackle position. Moving into Houston here. This spot, they say wide receiver here this suggestion. I don't know if I like that. I think they go someplace different here. I think they're going to go running back instead. Because obviously, they expected a lot out of their running back this year. They did not get it. And I think they're not going to waste time here with Stroud. They want to get win with Stroud. And I think they're going to take Blake Corum, the running back out of Michigan, with this selection here. Moving on to Buffalo. A lot of places they can go once again. And I think this time they're going to go edge rusher here. Because obviously Von Miller has not been worth it. They need improvement there. Having got an Adisa Isaac will be the selection there. So they hopefully try to develop him into what they want him to be. Moving on here to Detroit. A lot of places they can go. And I think they're going to go linebacker here, and I think they take Junior Colson once again and get some more young talent into that young defense. And once again, obviously, it's a Michigan guy. He looks very good. And honestly, Detroit, they like their Michigan guys that they've got so far, so why not get another one in this point here? Looking here at Baltimore now. Obviously, we have our last 3 picks here in this mock draft. So if Baltimore here, a lot of places they go, I think they go defense, especially D-tackle and Rook. And I'm not going to try to say the last name because I don't know how to pronounce it. And I feel like it's embarrassed myself if I do. But I think he's the selection there. Obviously, you need to get a little more youth into that spot as well. Moving in here to San Francisco. I think they're going to go wide receiver here with potential of Brandon Ayuk leaving. You may want to get a wide receiver or let's get a better wide receiver 3 to help out. Because obviously the offense slowed down a lot in the second half of the Super Bowl. That was not good, and that's kind of what lost them the game. I think Devontae Walker, the wide receiver out of North Carolina, is the selection at that spot. And KC is here, and obviously, once again, the 2 guys playing the Super Bowl are going to kind of mirror each other again here. And they'll take wide receiver Malachi Corley out of Western Kentucky with that selection. And with that, that will finish up our mock draft. Thank you guys for watching here. Hope you guys enjoyed the mock draft, and there will be more to come once free agency starts. Thank you guys for watching. Please comment, like, and subscribe, and have a great day.